Today we are painting a beautiful beach scene on a wine glass. But before we get started, we have to just give our glass a cleaning so that any dust that's left on it or oils from our hands is wiped off. So you have a cotton ball with some rubbing alcohol, and you're just going to wipe it down all the way around, wipe it down. And then you're also going to wipe the bottom and then flip it over, pull off the sticker, and then also you can use the rubbing alcohol cotton on the bottom. Okay, so go ahead and clean your glass off. Give you a moment to do that. Like I said, it's going to dry really fast. And then the first brush that we're going to use is our big brush. Okay. And with the big brush, the first color is, if you notice, you have two tan colors. So it's the one that's a little more peachy, the lighter color. We're going to use that color first. So I'm just going to pull a little bit of paint on one side of my brush. Then I'm going to flip over the brush and get a little bit of that paint on the other side. So we have paint on both sides of our brush. Okay, and now this is very free form what we're doing, but we're going to make, it's almost like a hilly line all the way around. So I will go ahead and show you. And I'm going to do this, so here's the bottom. I'm going to go up almost halfway. And we're going to go up and down, turn your glass. You're going to need to keep loading your brush up with paint. Okay, I'm going to hold this so it doesn't move. Back up. Twist it back down. We're going to do this all the way around until we meet the other side. So it's not a straight line. Okay, so there is my bumpy line all the way around. All right, same color we're working with here. And then we're going to, at the bottom where the stem starts, we're just going to go all the way around so that we know where the sand is going to stop. Okay, so now we get to fill in the sand. And we want to keep with the way sand would look in real life, which it would be kind of going side to side, and there'd be some movement to it. So you definitely don't want to paint up and down. So we're going to keep with our brush strokes because you're going to be able to see those brush strokes. And we're going to just go in the direction that the hill is moving. Okay, now a little trick with wine glass painting, because you can see every brush stroke, is you don't want to push too hard when you paint. So I get a lot of paint on my brush, but then I'm using the side of the brush, not the tip of it. I'm using like that whole, so I get the whole surface. And I'm just going all the way around. We are going to be adding that other color so that there's like shadows in the sand. I'm using both sides of my brush. I go all the way until I reach that line we made. twist it and keep going. So this is a multi-surface acrylic that we're using. So once you're finished with your wine glass, you could either leave your glass sitting on the counter for 3 weeks and then the paint will cure on its own, or you can bake it in the oven and then you can use your glass right away. Just keep working my way around. You can move your glass on a different angle just to make sure that you have good coverage. Sometimes that helps because you want to make sure that there isn't any space that you forgot to fill in. Okay, I'm going to turn it on its side, take a look from another angle. See, it's already starting to dry. This paint dries pretty quick, not as fast on glass, but it still dries quickly. So you can go around and do any touch-ups you want to. Now this is optional. I'm going to show you another glass that was done. You can also paint the bottom too to make it sandy and then later put your initials if you want to. So I'm going to go ahead and do that too. Just going to do a little. Bottom of my glass has a sandy bottom now. Kind of using like messy brush strokes all the way around. Okay, and I'm not going to wash my brush. I'm not going to put as much paint on it either. Just like the tip of the brush, I'm going to pull some of the darker color. You could even dab some, if you could see that, I'm just dabbing a little bit over there. So I have this darker color on my brush, and I'm going to now add some shadows in the sand. And to do that, I'm going to be doing dabbing. Dab, 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 dab. Lightly. You really don't need a lot of paint for this. I'm going to move some of this paint around. So just little dabs. I have not dipped my brush back in this color. I'm going to tip it this way so I could see it better. Just blending it a little bit more like that. We're going to do that all the way around. So after you load your brush with paint, wipe some of it off, either on the tablecloth, on the drop cloth, or go ahead and just dab it on the palette. If you accidentally put too much of this color, you can just alternate and then just put more of the lighter color in there until you get it to the shade you like. But yep, just messy brush strokes there. We're also going to do that at the bottom too, on top of the sand on the bottom of the glass. Oops, moving around. Okay, keep twisting, make sure you got it all. And now I'm moving on to the bottom, but if you still need time, that's just fine. Now you have to be careful with layering too much, because once the paint starts to dry a little bit, it could peel off. So I'm not going to keep going over the same spot too many times. I don't want to make it peel. All right, so once you're finished with the sand, wash your brush off, just swirling it around, and then put the side of the brush on the edge of the cup there, get most of the water off, and then you can just dry the rest off right on the tablecloth. Okay, make sure it's good and dry. All right, and then we are going to dip our brush in the blue. And again, I'm just going to use the very tip of the brush. This time I'm not going to be using too much paint. Okay. And we are going to start our water. So the water is kind of wavy and peaking behind our hilly sand. Okay, so get in there. No straight lines here today, so you're lucky. So if you notice, I'm holding my brush this way to make like a thinner line. And I'm just going to go around. Our crystal clear lagoon water. I'm going to call this Lagoon Blue. So, trying to make it look a little wavy. Now while the sand is up and down, I'm trying to make the water pretty level on both sides. It's okay if your blue goes on top of the sand a little bit. As I was turning it around, I noticed there was like a little gap there I could see through, so I'm just putting some more blue. So definitely give it a twist and look at the rest of it and see if you need to add more paint. Okay, so take a look at your glass, see if you have any touching up you need to do. This is a good dry time break, a good stopping point. So go ahead and wash your brush off. And then dry it. And then you go ahead and stretch your legs, potty break, grab some snacks, refresh your drinks, and then it'll be dry in no time, and we'll come back and start using the tiny brush to do all of our fine details. See you in a few.
And it's a 2-minute warning. Please find your seats. We're about to get started.
Okay, who's ready to do the details? So you have a teeny tiny brush, and we are going to start with the green. So when you want a nice point on your brush, you just kind of roll it around in the paint and then pull, and you'll get a nice point. And then when you want a thin line, you barely apply any pressure. So you barely touch the glass and you get a thin line. So for the grass, it's all about a flick of the wrist. You start down and pull up, okay? Every time you do it. If you start here and pull down, then your thickest point will be where you first put your brush. So we don't want it at the top. We want it to look wispy. So let's see, where do I want to put my first? How about right here? So I'm going to start my brush here and I'm going to pull up and up, up. And then we want some short, some long, all different heights. Start here and pull up. They could overlap on each other, go in different directions. So we just want like a little cluster of grass here. Okay. Do a few little short ones. So that is my first little cluster of grass. And now I'm going to turn it around, find another spot. Over here, I'm feeling like I want to make my little 3, you can do 3 or 4. And I don't even know what this plant is called, but it has little red flowers at the top. So again, start at the bottom, pull up, and I'm going to start here, and one is going to go this way. Tiny brush does not hold a lot of paint, so you have to keep putting paint on your brush. Here's one. Two. 3. Okay. Like I said, if you want to put more of those there, but I have that 3 is the right number feeling. Okay. Moving on. Let your glass tell you where the greenery needs to go. Sometimes I have to look at it all before I decide. Okay, and then I want one right here. So again, I'm going to start right in the sand there. And pull, pull, pull. This one's going to be short. Maybe I'll put a few long ones in there too. All right. Okay, while it's still wet, I'm going to, and I'm not cleaning my brush off, I'm just going to dip my brush in the white a little bit. So I have a little white on my brush. Dab, dab, dab on the side here of my palette. And then I'm just going to flick my wrist again and put a few lighter shades in there. So I barely have that much, I don't have much paint on my brush, but it's just giving it a little bit of a lighter green mixed in there. Turn. I'm not going to do that to that one, but the other little bush of grass here, same thing. Dirty brush, I put a little white on it, made like a lighter green in there. It's subtle. Okay, if you're happy with your grass, you can wash your brush off and dry it. Okay, now I want to pick a spot for a little fence post. I think I'm going to do, let's see. Kind of like this spot here. So twist your glass until you find a good spot to make 4 little posts. And so we need your brush good and dry, and then dip it in the white. You might have to mix it a little since it's been sitting out here. So I'm giving it a little mix. Now I have a lot of paint on my brush, so I'm just going to wipe a little bit off on the side. Okay. And we are going to make 4 little posts in the sand here. So here's 1. 2. Give a little space in between. 3. And 4. Okay. And now we want to connect them. So I'm going to do 2 lines. Remember to try and roll your brush. Give yourself a point and then barely touch. Okay, see how it's connected? And then I'm going to take some of that on my dirty brush, that darker brownish tan color, and I'm just going to add on the left side a little shadow. So cute. And if you like that, you can do another one on the other side. Let's see if I have space. Maybe I'll put one over here. I'm washing my brush off again so I can get some clean white. Going to do another layer of white so you can see it a little better. Okay, and connect. There. And then dark brown again. I'm going to do that on the left side. Okay. While we're working with the white, if you're feeling adventurous, you can add maybe some seashells. Little rocks, sand dollars. Even just some little highlights in the sands, like maybe where the light is hitting it. And speaking of, while we're using white, I'm going to do some dabs in the water to show some movement. Little waves going. Okay. Wash my brush and then go back to those little 3 that I said I was going to put flowers on. Dip my brush in the red, and again it's a lot of dabbing. It's like a little cluster of red dots. Like that. Wash my brush off again. Now at the bottom where you're going to put your initials, if you want to, you can put like a heart in the sand and then put your initials in the middle. Put the date or just your initials. You get your own. All right, so I'm going to use the darker sand color. Find where's a good spot to put my initials. Do it right here. Your heart. Okay. So go ahead and take a look at your glass, do any touch-ups you want. And then when you're happy with it, go ahead and put your initials at the bottom and you're all finished. Thank you for painting with us today. I hope you had fun. It will dry quickly, so I would leave it out, get some more refreshments, and then there is a little gift bag for you to take your glass home with some care instructions. Like I said, you could leave your glass and sit it on the counter for 3 weeks. The paint will cure and then you can use it. I would hand wash it. It does say dishwasher safe, but top rack, but I would just hand wash your glass. Or you can put it in the oven at 350 and bake it for 30 minutes. But the key is to put it in a cool oven, then preheat, set your timer, and then when the timer goes off, turn the oven off and leave it in the oven until the oven cools down, then open the door. This way it won't have any extreme temperature changes because we don't want them to crack. Well, I hope to paint with you again. Bye.